자, 이 세션 2부 기후
The second session, Climate Crisis Water Management Measure, will begin. Hello, I am Boryeong from Chungnam Institute, Water Environment Research Center. Thank you so much for joining us today, despite your busy schedule. Because of the water level and rainfall, which was very historic this year, we experienced many damages. So to cope with this climate change, it is necessary to come up with the climate crisis water management measure. So today, I hope today's presentation can be helpful to the management of water in Chungnam province. And at the second session, we have two presenters and three panelists. And the presentation will be about 20 minutes, and the panelists will be given with 15 minutes each. So before we start, I would like to introduce the presenter and panelists. First, Mr. Yoon Hyung-won from Hanguk newspaper. Second presenter, Professor No Jae-kyung from Chungnam National University. Next, moderator of the discussion, Mr. Kim Ok from the Climate Environment Institute. Third, we also have Mr. Kong Sang-hyun from Chungcheongnam-do Province of Water Management Policies, and Mr. Kim Hong-soo from Chungnam Institute. And let's invite the first presenter, and let's hear about Mr. Climate Crisis or Water Management from Mr. Yoon.
발표를 맡은 윤용관입니다.
Hello everyone, I'm Yoon Hyung-kwon, the speaker. So I will talk about my presentation based on my own experience. First and foremost, a lot of times we hear climate crisis and even climate breakdown and the climate catastrophe. So this is my secretary, AI, Miss AI. She gave me this picture of predicting the future. This is a city, and you see the water level is very high. So it shows if the water level rises more than 1 meters, it shows how many cities will be experiencing collapse. So do you know that on the 17th of July, we experienced a record-breaking precipitation of 232 millimeters in the Deoksan-myeon area. And we call it extreme downpour. There was a downpour alert as well. At that time, there were about 30 officials who were working in the Korea Rural Community Corporation. And according to their testimony, they said that they've experienced this terrifying situation for the first time in their lives. So this is a picture that I took from the site, and as you can see, the embankment was collapsed. So it is a natural disaster, but I would say it's a man-made disaster. And this is also a photo that I took. So this is a cow that went up from a bank. This cow was unable to walk, but just was laying down. So in this village, there were less than 20 households. and more than 70 cows
사망이라고 그러는데
were buried
죽었죠.
due to the heavy
저녁에
downpour
시간만 내린 비로 갑자기
that happened
그래서 이
just in
소각을 이루는
3 hours.
거기서
And this is a mother of a baby cow who lost her child. It's
지금
very
지나고
sad
있는데
to watch
농기계뿐만
this.
아니라 농기계도 다
And not only households and cows,
자, 그러면
but
이제 제방이 붕괴가 돼요.
all the
제방이 붕괴가 돼요.
machines and agricultural
우리나라
devices and machines
지방이
were
붕괴,
all buried.
지방에 대해 설계는 100년 정도를 100년에 한 번 정도 큰 비가 내렸을 때를 감안해서 설계했다고 합니다. 지금은
And this
그게 아니잖아요.
is an
매년
embankment, but it was collapsed.
한번 있다가
According to an official, it was designed for a 100-year frequency, but
실제로 요
it
이번
collapsed under a
건설이
500-year rainfall.
대방이 붕괴가 됐기 때문에 직접적으로 아까 소가 죽거나 이런 사건이 난 겁니다.
So, because this embankment was collapsed,
소가
that is why cows were dead and everything were
대방이라는 대로
submerged.
저렇게 폭우가 왔을 때 여지없이 무너진다는 거죠. 이
So,
지방하천에서
you
이제
see,
삼대천
those
개를
villages
다
and households and a
피할
lot
게
of
많아지고 물가가
places
떨어지는데 불구하고 그렇게 흙으로만
were
사는 문제는
submerged
2년 전부터
by
이
this heavy
대방 굴곡을
downpour.
공사를 하고 있던 현장입니다.
And,
공사한다는
you
건
know,
뭐냐?
actually, this place was the place where we started enhancing its embankment since 2 years ago. So, I would say this is man-made disaster because we were not able to do a adequate response. And another thing I want to show you is a Seokgi stream,
천 범람의 이유가 뭐냐면
Sapgyo stream.
대방의 그 아래 그 하천 구슬
And the claim is, did the discharge worsen
되는데 화내지
the
않아서
damage?
쌓였던 겁니다. 쌓이다 보니까 아까 소가 살았던 그 한포리의 마을보다 훨씬 더 제방
Well, actually, Sapgyo stream had higher
폭우가 왔을 때 여지없이 무너지고 그런 문제가 많다.
embankments, but because of the heavy down rainfall, it had to be collapsed.
침수가 됐다 이런 언론 보도도 있었어요.
And there were some news outlets that also covered this cases. And to see, who is the one to blame? It's a very difficult question. Flood control agency and other authorities and related authorities, they were seeing, did the discharge worsen the damage? And in just Yesan area, more than 300 cows died. And if that happens nationally, they get a lot of support and financial aid from the government as well as the nationwide fund, but it will happen again. So, what's important here is who is responsible? I would say we need to reinforce its embankments. Earthen embankments is not enough. So a lot of households in the rural areas, they have greenhouses and they have a farmland. So they will experience the same situation next year and the next year. So it will only be repeated if we cannot get ready for it. And earthen embankments cannot withstand heavy rain or torrential downpours. So, what I would like to suggest is, first, we need to diagnose which parts are most vulnerable to the collapse or erosion so that we can reinforce by using stones or cement so that we can enhance the structural stability. And there are more than 600 local river, and there are also a lot of floodgates, and the length of the local river are longer than the any other places. So what we can learn from this situation that I've just showed you is that it is crucial to control and manage floods and do the local river management under the authority of local government.
일주일에 이거 자주 비슷한 800가구가 사는 곳인데
And
일주일마다 이
this
정도 분량이 나옵니다.
is the plastic waste that I got from an apartment with 800 households. Do you know which country is the most plastic waste producing country? China.
네 나라가 있어요.
There are 4 countries actually: China, the US, South Korea is one of them,
그다음에
and
사우디아라비아.
Saudi Arabia,
거기가 나옵니다.
because they produce oil. They use oils to produce plastics. So, they have the oil money. And when we have a look at South Korea, in 2014, we produced about 5.8 million tons of plastic waste. And this is one of the foreign newspaper that I scrapped. You can see this plastic mountain, and the percentage of this plastic being recycled are less than 10%. Some of the news outlets say that we utilize 60% of plastic waste, and that's a total lie and a fake news. South Korea, we cannot resist, but we are the country that consumes the most plastic and generates most plastic waste in the world. So do you see a wooden bowl and a wooden knife? The picture on your right hand side, you'll see my hands. So I am engraving this wooden knife, and I make myself this wooden bowl or cup to actually use it in my daily life. Actually, carbon neutrality, the term is quite difficult, but I think you will do it well. So now we are going beyond the climate breakdown. We will soon experience climate catastrophe. So I would say that we are now at the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs, 2 strikes, and 3 balls, meaning that it is our very last chance. So this picture left inside, this is the picture that my secretary gave me. This is a future of a child, and the right hand side, extreme droughts and lost his parents. So this is the future that we can predict, and the future is something that we make together. Thank you.
발제를 해주신
Thank you so much, Mr. Yoon Hyung-won from Hanguk Newspaper. And let's move on to the second presentation. The second presentation is about strategy for promoting Korean climate response dams, presented by Professor No.
한 3분 전에 얘기했지? 끝나기 3분 전에? 예, 반갑습니다.
Hello, it is very nice to meet you all. And it's been 2 years since I've retired from the university, and I am majoring on these reservoirs and dams and water flow. And my job was calculating how much water is coming in to and from reservoir. And in 2023, because of overflow of the Yongdam Dam, there was a huge flood, and that had damaged fields. And I think you already know about this because you watched the news, and this is a flood incident. So that's why I decided to talk about. I decided to calculate with the number with 10 to 10 1, 10 to 1. So after that,
이 비가 많이 오고
it turns out there are more rainfalls and flood damages occurred all places in Korea. And people thought this is a abnormal weather or this is a climate change. And I always tell people that we always have abnormal weather, so we cannot say that anymore. And this is a dam issue and also a reservoir issue. And there's only reservoir capacity remaining. There's no remaining capacity for a reservoir, but dam has remaining capacity, so that can be an issue. So based on my experience, I realized that we can calculate this. We need to have a reservoir to make a smart calculation. So that's why I always tell people that we have to make this calculation with reservoir and dams over and over again, but no one had started this. So through these international conferences and forums, I always tell people that we have to have this calculation more than 10 times a year and even to working group, but no one's listening to me. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but I really want my colleagues, my juniors to know about this. So I would like to have this campaign, and this is a very big word, which is a ontology. It's not a difficult word because we exist. So reservoir exists because it's necessary. So ontology means cooperation. It means doing our best. It is about pushing ourselves to our full capacity because there is a reservoir because we need it, and we are all needed to somewhere. We have to pull ourselves to the full capacity. It is not about competition. It is about cooperation. Climate crisis is very difficult to resolve.
처음
But this abnormal weather is a first thing. But Chungnam, west region, is a drought area with water shortage. And that area experienced a severe drought a few years ago. But this time, there was a flood damage. For 2 days, it had rained more than 10 days of rain in the past. So I will fastly present my material. So my idea is let's pull it to full capacity. Dams, reservoir, and also officials, staff members. We should all do our best. We should all cooperate. That is my key idea. I told you about ontology, but we also need to think about environmental theory. Environment is also closely related.
모든 존재의
Environment is
존재하고 있는 그런 이 조건을 원활하게 하는 것이 환경이다.
something that
모든
smooth
존재의 원활한 관계의 흐름을
the
만들어주는
existing
환경이니까
condition
존재도 이제
of all
발달하고
things.
존재도 실제 영향을 발휘하려면
So, in order to exist in a full condition, environment is very important.
존재론적이라는 말은
So, ontological. And this word has never been used. No one has used this. So, from this year, I'm talking about ontology and ontological management. By October 16th to 21, I have made analysis of all dams in Korea, and I will talk about the Yeodam Dam and also a candidate tributary dam sites. And also, I would like to touch upon flow resilience of rivers with and without dams. And we are using AI, and for AI to function, there should be records and material information. But for people, we need to be truthful. So, the only cooperation point of AI and human is truthfulness and information. I have already mentioned the introduction, and this is 2022. Remember Typhoon Hinnam-nor? And this is a Wangsin Reservoir, and the one section was collapsed. And for a few 2 hours, it had rained more than 1 meter. And I had made exact calculation, and made analysis, and this is the graph of that result. And this is Tapjeong Reservoir data. I will skip the video clip. This is a photo of last year. During dawn, it had rained a lot, and then Nonsan River, Nonsan Stream had overflown, and like I said, there wasn't any inflow or outflow, but I had still made analysis. So I visited Daecheong Dam from Nonsan. And what happens, we have experience of Daecheong Dam doing a poor job with the dam management, so we have to make a precise calculation. And for the flooding, we have to have full water. But when flood is occurred, they opened the dam, and they had closed the dam during flood season. So I think they have done so well. So I suggested to promote themselves with this management, but I haven't seen anything so far. And these are the photos of Seosan after a week of heavy rain. And the amount of damage was about 360 million won, 36 million won. And this is Obong River storage rate, which is less than 15% now. And these incidents are occurring all the time. And we had realized that the damage was the largest in the past 10 years through the news. And for 3 hours, Seosan area was hit by a heavy rain. And that red circle means more than 100 millimeter for an hour. And let's talk about ontology. What is ontology? We exist here. We are here. But if we leave here, we will think about something else. You cannot concentrate. You cannot concentrate to your work or your class. You think about something else. You daydream. And That's what the ontology means. So when you exist, you are most effective, you are most powerful, and you have to cooperate in that status. And environmental theory is creating condition for that. This is the opposite thing of the environmentalist theory. Please take a look. You don't have this booklet. I will share this. I will share this to you. And environmental theory is this. And this is the conceptual diagram of ontology. So reservoir is at the center, and reservoir should present, but when it rains, reservoir is very important. When crisis, you will have the opportunity to represent yourself, and that is the key of the ontology. And with the ontology, there is a truth, there is love, and there's life. I can see young students here, and if you exist, you will get good score, you will go to good college, you will live your life. And this goes the same with the environmental theory. There's dam, reservoir, and stream. In stream, there are lives, and we have to play our full potential, and we have to consider all that to manage water. There is a reservoir, and when it rains, what happens? I told you, you have to fill it with water, but people do not fill it with them. I mean, if the reservoir is empty during flood season, that is wrong. The reservoir has to be full all the time. This is my field, my expertise. So whenever this happens, I feel sorry on behalf of them. So I always mention the importance of this to people in conferences. And no other professors, no other working group is mentioning this. But what happens if something goes wrong? Then this will never be repeated anymore. I mean, if they do not acknowledge this is not right, then this can be fixed. So depending on different water levels, there is an amount of allocation, and when it's full, then there will be more water, and we have to utilize this at the maximum level, but it's very difficult. Reservoir is expensive. Also, dam is expensive. If it's expensive, you have to utilize this, but they cannot utilize this. I mean, how much did it rain that made the dam management so difficult? When it's raining that much, I mean, I have made some calculation with that. For 2 days, for 3 days of rain, I mean, after 2 days of heavy rain, third day you will not get that much rain because there are not that much cloud up in the air anymore. And let's take a look at this function of dam. And I took a review of 20 multipurpose dam, and this is the role, function of the dam. Like I told you, when it rains a lot, there are damages, and you have to have this certain range of damages. So if we make a comparison, And we call this non-flood storage capacity or useful storage capacity. So, and I came up with this concept, which is the capacity should be about 500. So when it rains, when it hardly rains, when it rains hard, people can manage this effectively. That's why I have made this calculation. And this is for multi-purpose dams. And you can see this red numbers. And Namgang Dam is very difficult to manage when it rains because it's close to Jiri Mountain. So because when Jiri Mountain rains, the water comes down so fast, so you cannot sleep that night. Among 20 multi-purpose dams, starting from July 16th to July 20, Boryeong Dam and Namgang Dam was safe from flooding. And after rain, the dams released water. And this is the ontological flood operation of multi-purpose dams. So we have to practice and we have to follow this practice. And this is the record of 20 multi-purpose dams and the calculation result and the graph. And the peak had decreased about 93%. So dam had prevented flooding. So huge effect. So that's why I had asked the journalist to cover this story, but nothing was on the newspaper. I mean, if people know about this, we can have more cooperation. We should make a ground for cooperation. We should praise if someone does something good, and if we should criticize if something is wrongfully done. And Namgang Dam should release water to two different directions. But still, it had decreased, it had lowered the capacity, lowered the water level by 23%. And we have to practice the outflow, the capacity of outflow, because we have to prepare ourselves for heavy rain. And without any practice, it will be very difficult for us to cope with the heavy rain, because heavy rain falls before morning, during dawn. And if we cannot deal with this timely, then we'll face a huge disaster. So we have to practice. This is Yedang Reservoir. And the number was about 50%. I have calculated inflow and outflow was about 2,400. And these are all my calculations. And it was exactly the same with the low water level of simulation. I had mentioned the capacity and ontology. So if we apply this calculation result, we can lower the number by 50%. Do you see this part? I think I want to say that it would have been much better if we had hold this amount of water in the reservoir, and we have some room for improvement. We have to make a training drill. We have to practice. We have to cooperate. So we can lower the water level. That means lower risk of flood. And this is Tribury Dam sites. What time is it? I have about 5 more minutes, okay? Tributary dam sites, we need water here. There's AI data center that consumes huge amount of water, and multi-purpose dam, which is Boryeong Dam, that capacity is only about 130,000. We have collected all the data during the rainy days, and inflows and outflows had been recorded and calculated and reviewed. Boryeong Dam was also reviewed. Buan Dam was also reviewed, and we have reviewed all the records. And if we build a tributary dam, then these results can be applied. Buan Dam do not have a water gate. I mean, there are many reservoirs without water gates. And what happens if flood occurs? Water cannot go out. That is the best way to control water. I mean, you don't have to use the water gate because you have the water gate during flood. So people don't know about this correctly. I always tell them that not to open the water. We have to make the reservoir and dams full, so only the outflow should be released. If we ask the AI to do the calculation, it will give us the same result. Typhoon Rosa, Himnamno was also used for simulation. And if we review this, and we have to make sure to cope with this, and if the Tributary Dam is built, there is a stream at the lower side, lower stream, and that will lower the burden. And if we see the useful storage amount, and these are the factors that we need to review. And this is the basic. Even though the world changes fast, the basic never changes. So please keep that in mind. We have to prepare. And this shows the status of Japan and the status of rainfall in Japan. And here's Japan and Korea and the comparison. And here it's outflow is about 1400. That means Japan has a lot of water and a lot of rainfall. Other than typhoon season, Korea do not have that much precipitation. And this is the water flow of Kumgang River. And we had made a lot analysis with this measurement result. And when there's a dam, the flood level will decrease. And stream water level will be improved. And this is how we cooperate with AI. We cannot avoid using AI anymore. People need to be truthful. AI need to have correct information to have trust and cooperation. And if we miss that, we can be utilized by AI. So that's why we need to cooperate. That's the only way for the future. And this applies to water management. This is Daecheong Dam status. So this has a low accuracy, so we have to improve this graph. And also, we need to have a campaign. We also need to have DR campaign and Rio campaign. So I always mention this whenever I participate in conference. So the word ontology is the word I have first used here, and I'm planning to use ontology in the future. Use the word ontology. I can see students, public officials participating today's session, but we have to do our best. We have to do our best to exist and cooperate and be happy. Water management can be a crisis, but that can be an opportunity. So in a difficult time, we should cooperate. Thank you for your attention.
발제해주신
Thank you very much, Professor No from Chungnam University. So this is it for the two presentation, and let us have a panel discussion. But before we start, let me set our stage for it.
이어서 토론을 진행.
So let us proceed with the panel discussion, and the moderator is Mr. Kim Ok from the Korea Institute of Climate Change. Hello, I am Kim Ok. So today we talked about climate crisis water management strategies, and I am very honored to serve as the moderator for this panel discussion, and I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. So every year, I think we are experiencing 100 year of flood and droughts every year, and we are seeing a lot of climate crisis here and there. And previous speaker, Mr. Tu, mentioned that we are experiencing climate downfall as climate down breakdown as well as catastrophe, and it is now a problem of survival. We also need to enhance the safety net and strengthen our safety net. I totally agree with him. And also another thing is accelerated climate crisis and ontological response and how we can do a water management. That was the key point of the Professor No's presentation. And he also talked about relationship and the balance between human and the climate. And also he said it is important for us to take a look at the society and other factors as well. And I would like to thank for their two insightful presentations. And now let us proceed with the panel discussion. And for the discussion, we are joined by Mr. Kong Sang-han from the Water Management Policy Division of Chungcheongnam-do Province, as well as Mr. Kim Hong-soo from Chungnam Institute. First, I would like to ask for their comments after listening to presentation and their ideas on how we should devise our water management policies.
네, 안녕하십니까.
Hello, I am Kong Sang-hyun from Water Management Policy Division of Chungcheongnam-do Province, and thank you for your presentation. First of all, to Mr. Yoon, you have mentioned climate crisis, climate collapse, and I really agree with you. As for Chungnam Province, we are a typical water shortage area starting from 2012.
물 위기라는
Water shortage, water crisis can never be mentioned without mentioning Chungcheongnam Province. Uh, our region has a dam, one dam, Boryeong Dam, near here. So whenever I have a chance to discuss about this issue, I always compare Boryeong Dam with ICU patient because I think Boryeong Dam had reached the limit and the capacity is about 1.6 billion tons. And I mean, the capacity is about 100,000 tons. It is not big, but the basin is so small, so it's always dry. So starting from 2015, climate crisis has accelerated and Boryeong Dam had become a dam which cannot store water all the time. So the water level had decreased to 7% at the worst time. So we have installed a waterway, water pump, and we pump water with the water level is lower than certain level, which is about 40%, and we use about 2.6 million tons from Boryeong Dam. But in Kumgang River, we use about 110,000 tons. And if we do not pump water timely, then this dam area will dry up. So other than Boryeong Dam, we should find another water source and build a dam. I told you I Tributary Dam. Tributary Dam can store water, it can prevent flood. In Jicheon, near Cheongyang area, Tributary Dam should be built there so that we can cope with this climate collapse era. And I absolutely agree with both of you. Thank you very much.
So, as he mentioned, to sum up what he said, so due to climate crisis, we are experiencing water shortages and the Jicheon Dam and other regions dam, as well as the water shortages that we are experiencing in Chungnam area. Also, like journalist Yoon Hyung-won mentioned, we are in the era of AI. And in the era of AI, the water shortage issue is also another very big problem. And in the era of AI, I think it is important for a country at the national level to secure enough water resources. And now, Mr. Kim Hong-soo. All right. Hello, I am Kim Mong-soo from Chungnam Institute. So thank you very much for your insightful presentations. So we in the era of climate crisis, water management system and the strategies. First of all, because of climate change, we are seeing a lot of situations are being changed, such as extreme heat waves. And for the past few years, we are experiencing extreme downpours as well. And along with that, water management and importance of this management strategies are becoming even more important these days. And the frequency of climate crisis or climate related incidents are increasing. And recently, some experts also come up with some climate vulnerabilities and volatility. And with that newly suggested concept, we are seeing newly emerging suggestions and recommendations. And we are also experiencing some uncertainties in water management, such as changing flood patterns and drought patterns. So we are seeing somewhat limitations in the current water management, and we are seeing some changes in the ecological situation as well as the water shortages. So facing all these challenges, I think we need to come up with more effective strategies in the future. And to have a look at some of the recent cases in Chungnam and Yesan area and Seosan area, we've all saw some examples from these regions from other presentations. And some regions are experiencing extreme droughts. And as for Gangneung area, this summer their precipitation were way too small, and because of some other natural phenomenon, Gangneung is experiencing extreme drought, and their water level dropped as well. But they do have their own reservoir, but their reservoir was not enough to cover that drought. So they have no choice but to experience further drought in the future. And Sokcho is also near from Gangneung, and it has been experiencing droughts very often, as you know. But the municipality decided to build up their own reservoir to overcome the drought cases that is frequently occurring in that area. And to have a look at Yangyang and surrounding areas, they are implementing some water management strategies to overcome their drought issues. And so in terms of droughts, I would say that their response was insufficient up until now, but Gangneung and the other surrounding areas that were experiencing a low precipitation, it is not only happening in that area, and it is not unpredictable actually. We cannot predict which region will experience that low precipitation. And I would assess that the existing policy was insufficient to deal with that a lot of happenings and incidents. And when we have a look at the current policies, well, I can say that there was effective integration of some organization and institutions, but the project integration or combination of the projects and businesses are not adequate to tackle the current issues. So what I would like to talk about is some integration of functionality. I think water management and hydrological management integration are crucial, but it wasn't done effectively. So I would like to point out that that has been a big issue. And then lastly, what my recommendation for the central government for the water management strategies is that we should move away from a supply centered management, but we should also have a look at what integrative measures that we can take. And secondly, I think for the water management system to step up, I think urban development is crucial, and we also need to do some restructuring of the local government as well as some other related authorities so that they can do a proper management of water resources and their soil management. And according to a recent study, I think autonomics uh, s- strategy will be also very important. So by utilizing this water mix strategy, I think we should integrate all different methods that every institute and every local governments are using, so that we can utilize different kinds of management strategies that we can make use of. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry, but I want to ask you this question. I think I must ask you this question. Which high school are you from? The students back there. I think we're joined by so precious guests here. Oh, Onyang Women's High School. Nice to meet you. Could you give them a big hand? Yes, I think this conference could be very difficult to understand for you guys, but I think we are joined by our future generation. And to sum up what Mr. Kim said, so I think excuse me. So, according to Mr. Kim, we are seeing a lot of changes in the natural phenomena, so we need to come up with adequate measures. That was the summary of Mr. Kim. And he also mentioned a water mix strategy, which is the integrated water management system. About 2 years ago, I visited China, Sacheon, and the ecological center at there. What I was most envy of them was they did have some integrated system utilizing big data and remote control system to manage their hydrological system as well as their water management system. So we are living in the era of AI now. So they were doing utilizing AI as much as possible. So I think it would be better for us to utilize our technology as well. And today we will have to have the social consensus on how we can step up our level up our water management strategies, and that will also require some budgeting as well as some funding as well. And I hope it will be very fruitful session for you, and I think we will be able to get some questions from the floor. So is there anyone who has question to our panelist or speaker? And please don't ask us difficult question. Okay, hello, please use the mic. It cannot be translated because the microphone is not used. Please use the microphone. For the interpretation service, please use the microphone.
노재경 교수님은 한 얼마 정도로 올려놨으면 가능하다고 생각하십니까?
Well, I do have some materials here, so I think you can take a look at it.
For this rain, there was an outflow. We have discharged, but I am opposing discharge because during the flood season, we have to make the reservoir full to capacity. And after that, we can open up the reservoir or dams. And we have to practice this, like I said during the presentation. But when it rains, people get scared, and then they open the gate. And Boryeong Dam is always suffering with water shortage. But during flood, we can store water.
이 분석을 하고 싶어요.
And I want to make that analysis. I want to see if there's any issue during flood. And we have to secure water as much as possible during flood because we are always short with water. And I'm planning to make analysis for that. Chungnam is desperate with water. We only have about 230,000 tons, and that's why we can lower the water. We can heighten the water level, but the managers are always scared. During flood, they always open the water gate. Don't open it. Let them fill up, and then after the flood, they can open the gate. That's what I'm insisting. Thank you.
Any other question? Please raise your hand. Okay. So I think it's a follow-up question. So while looking at the Gangneung incident, I wanted to ask my question to Mo. And by looking at the Gangneung's case, in order to avoid experiencing the same situation, what do you think we should do, the Chungcheongnam-do province? Well, I'm a resident in Gongju City. To avoid experiencing that extreme droughts, well, I think someone answered to that question, but I would like to ask for your opinion about the Gangneung incident.
가뭄이
As for Gangneung City, the drought is longer than expected. I know that they had planned for measures, but let's take a look at what happened in Chungnam region. When there's a drought, we always dig up the ground for groundwater, but that's not the right solution. We have to save water during normal days. I mean, but people always complain if they don't get enough water. But we have to save water while we can. We have to overcome it. And when there is a water shortage, we have to secure water. And Chungnam region needs tributary dam, and we have to save water as much as we can. And when there's water shortage, we pump up water from the ground and then we store water in the reservoir. We save that water as much as we can. We have to do all we can. Any other question?
시간 관계상
Due to the time limitation, I think we will wrap up here. Oh, is there any last word? Actually, I have a question to Mr. Do. So you said about the dam to release water, and when we have a look at some broadcasted news, I saw what we are seeing, officials from the Water Management Authority, we talk about the height of a dam to withstand the water. And is there any risk of collapse?
Gyesan Dam, when it was designed, it was not designed hard enough. But now the dams are not like that. They're very strong. They're designed to be strong. And they also are applied with the full capacity. So even though the water is full, nothing will happen. But there is a certain level that we need to comply. But Boryeong Dam, I mean, I have made investigation with all the records, and Boryeong was about 580, which was 2023, and it was very full, but Boryeong Dam was okay. So in that context, if Boryeong Dam can be managed with higher water level, then that will resolve water shortage issues that we're facing. Boryeong Dam is okay. It's safe. It's strong. There are many small reservoirs, and if rain fell this much, all the reservoirs should have been collapsed, but they're all okay. For 3 years, water is filled and it was merged, but we had a insurance, so that's why we were able to fix it. But will it be difficult to have a water storage? So when there's a flood, we can deal with it, that water storage space. There was flood-related disaster 3 times in a row. Okay, this water storage, the amount of water is much bigger than you think. The reservoir itself is very big. That water storage cannot take it. The capacity cannot take it. I mean, that can happen anywhere in the country, but it cannot be resolved with water storage. I mean, people think about this all the time. I mean, if it rains too much, why don't we just drain water underground? But that cannot resolve all the water, all the rainfall.
So Gangneung water shortage incidents, there are a lot of causes for that, but I think a political cause is also one of the reasons behind. So water resources, reservoir or dam. So these facilities are actually necessary for Gangneung, but their civil group was not supporting for the build of the facility, so that we had no choice but to delay building those structures. Well, so it is now a time to think whether we should agree or disagree with building these kind of infrastructure, because now we're living in the era where we cannot predict our future. So, our citizens should not just divide it into 2 groups, agreeing or disagreeing to building a new infrastructure, but I think it is not time for us to have a one consensus. Actually, Gangneung used to be a city where it was considered to be full of water resources, but it did experience water shortage. So, like you, the students, I think I would suggest you to think about it more, and this water is from Taechung Dam. This water, I got it from Taechung. The resources from Taechung Dam, and actually, it was opposed by their citizens at the time when it was built. But we should not be emotional in building an infrastructure, and that it would be my answer to give you. Yeah, actually, the extreme downpour is not just a abnormal climate issue, but it is giving harm to our daily lives, and it is giving damages to our daily lives. So thinking about that, I think we should not just think about how we can deal with climate related issues, but I think we should start from thinking fundamental questions, how the Chungcheongnam-do province can deal with the future natural disasters. And that is it for this panel discussion. I would like to thank all of you for being here. Thank you very much.